Mahindra Group's Italian subsidiary, that's Pininfarina, which has unveiled Battista, which is an electric car or all-electric hypercar, I should say. Mahindra says that Battista can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in less than 2 seconds. Autocar's Horma Sarabji caught up with Anand Mahindra on the sidelines of the launch and on what it is being the next big thing at M&M.
It is, you use the right word, unbelievable. Somebody asked me earlier that, is this a proud moment for you? And I said that I'm in a state of disbelief. You know, almost business is not just about money. People presume it's about your ROI, and of course it is. But the biggest joy of business comes when you envision something, when you conceptualize something, and it just leaps out of paper and becomes reality. This was one of the moments there. So it's emotional, of course, but I'm in a state of suspended animation right now. I'm pinching myself, but yes, it's a moment, it's a big high.
You know what's interesting about the Battista is that how quickly it was done and the scale and level to which it was achieved. Clearly this was done outside the Mahindra ecosystem, and just wanted to understand, I think that was necessary, because if you put it in the bigger framework of Mahindra, where you're making thousands and thousands of vehicles, this sort of a project would probably get really delayed. So was creating a completely separate ecosystem in Europe absolutely crucial for this?
Well, first of all, it's interesting you said that this was out of the Mahindra ecosystem. I'm hoping that in a few years from now, people will say, this is Mahindra's ecosystem, that we understand how to incubate projects outside what was our own core area or core structure, precisely because we understand when something needs to be nimble and agile as a startup, where you need passion, where you need people who are going to be working in because they feel part of the ownership of the company. And you know, Hormaz, if you look around, we are doing that more and more. We incubated Smart Shift, which was frankly in the e-mobility space. We started up Glide now. We have done Java also in a very similar model. It's outside. So I think Mahindra is going to be a company and a group where you're going to see all kinds of ecosystem. So arguably, this is the Mahindra ecosystem. It's global. And yes, did it have to be international? Of course. We are talking about a segment which is so rarefied, which caters to the globally affluent, and now the affluent who have a conscience and want sustainable luxury, that it had to have a European imprint. After all, the brand is European. And that's why it was necessary to give it a different center of gravity.
And you know, Anand, you've been an EV evangelist for a long time. You've really been committed to it. Briva became Mahindra Electric. You know, you've been first mover over there. But quite frankly, the consumer doesn't feel the same way. You know, the EV sales are absolutely non-existent. Of course, policies are not helping. You've got FAME too. It's not really helped. There's nothing in for the private owner. Do you think EVs are still there, or are people, or is it just too much hype? Because quite frankly, the IC engine still has a lot of legs and so much can be done. And sometimes I think, are we getting too far ahead of ourselves with this whole EV business?
This is a good question to ask Pawan, who you will be talking to now, because he has been saying out publicly that the ICE engine is far from dead, and rumors of its death are premature.
No, what I meant is, as an EV evangelist, I wanted to...
As an EV evangelist, we are not the ones who created the hype. You know, there are a lot of academics from various Ivy League universities who come and say, by 2020, every car will be electric, and they show that picture of Manhattan, and where there were only buggies, and then suddenly it changed. And that gets...